Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Federal Employees Retirement System. We're so happy that you all came on this afternoon, and we have a lot of information for you. You're going to get an overview of the Federal Employees Retirement System. So we have a wonderful speaker on today. I'm going to tell you a little bit about our speaker after I lift up a few administrative notes. My name is Paulette Holmes. I work in the Division of Pay and Benefits. And I want to welcome you again to the presentation on today. And I also want to welcome our regional office employees who are out there attending the seminar today virtually. Welcome. For those who are participating virtually, we want you to please keep your phones on mute until after the presentation. At that time, we will answer all of your questions. And we also have a monitor who will be assisting us with the phones. So please hold all of your questions until the end of the presentation. We're asking for each of you, please complete a survey questionnaire. We handed those out to you for those of you who are in person. Complete those, it only take you about 3 minutes. If you would complete it and return it to one of our benefits staff members sitting outside at the table. If you have any questions for those who are attending virtually, you can reach out to the HR Center Help Desk, and the email is hrcenterhelpdesk@cms.hhs.gov. Just reach out to the help desk if you need any assistance throughout the presentation. So now, without further delay, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our wonderful and fabulous speaker and presenter on today. Andrea Curtis. She works in the Office of Benefits. She's one of our benefits and retirement specialists. Andrea has been a benefits specialist here at CMS for the past 4 years. Before that, she worked for SSA, aka Social Security Administration. And she also worked for private sector organizations in the areas of employee benefits, retirement, workers' compensation, staffing, classification, and personnel processing. Andrea attained her BA degree in organizational and industrial psychology from the University of Maryland, Baltimore County. She also holds a master's degree of arts in human resources management from University of Maryland, University College. With over 12 years of human resource experience, to her credit, Andrea has been recognized with numerous awards for her work ethic, stellar customer service, and innovative ideas. So join me in giving Ms. Andrea Curtis, our very own CMS employee, a warm CMS welcome.
Thank you, Paulette. Welcome, CMS, to our 2016 Federal Employees Retirement System Seminar. I do want to just reiterate that we will be covering the FERS retirement system. I know in some prior announcements it was mentioned civil service and offset would be going over in this presentation, but today we are only covering FERS, the Federal Employees Retirement System. So some of the topics we're going to be covering is the overview of FERS, how it started, and then the revisions since 1984, the retirement contribution rates, the different types of retirement. We have immediate, deferred, postponed, and disability. Deposits and redeposits, and how you compute your actual retirement annuity. And then all of the benefits that come with retirement, your FEHB, your survivor benefits for a spouse, and then, of course, your FEGLI, FEDVIP, LTC. And then what most of you want to know, what is the best day to retire, and when am I going to get paid? So the overview of the Federal Employees Retirement System. The FERS retirement system officially initiated January 1st of 1987. However, if you were first employed by the government January 1st of 1984 through December 31st of 1986, you were put in what they called a CSRS interim period. So during that period, any new hires to the federal government were put into CSRS offset, or the interim period. And that was the period in which they were developing the FERS retirement system. Effective January 1st, 1987, you were then automatically moved to FERS. So that's why it says FERS started 1/1/84, because technically if you were hired 1/1/84, again through 12/31/86, you were put in that interim period, and then effective January 1st, 87, you were automatically moved to FERS. Then comes January 1st of 2013, they did the FERS revised annuity employee system. Still a FERS employee, however, the deduction rates changed. Under the FERS revised annuity employee, you are paying 3.1% of your biweekly pay. And then January 1st of 2014, there was the further revised annuity employee, still FERS, but the deduction amount, of course, again, revised again to 4.4% of your annuity. Of your basic pay. So you might have heard that FERS is a three-tiered system. And what does that mean? There are three sources of income that you would receive as a FERS retiree. One is your basic pay, which is your FERS pension. Second is your Social Security. And third is your thrift savings. So for all FERS retirees or FERS employees, you are paying 6.2% of your biweekly basic pay into Social Security. And then for TSP, if you are a FERS employee, the agency is automatically putting 1% of your basic pay into your TSP account, and then doing the corresponding matching, of course, based on your contributions up to the 5%. So again, as a FERS retiree, you are receiving three sources of income: your basic benefit from FERS, your Social Security, and your TSP, Thrift Savings Plan. So here this breaks down the contribution rates for FERS, as I mentioned prior. If you were hired prior to January 1st, 2013, you're paying 0.8% of your biweekly salary into FERS. The agency is putting in 13.2%. Effective January 1st, 2013 through December 31st, 2013, your contribution increased to 3.1%, while the agency is putting in 11.1%. And then those new hires hired January 1st, 2014 to the present date are paying 4.4% of their biweekly pay into the retirement system, while the agency or the government still puts in the 11.1%. As indicated, these contribution rates are for regular employees. So there are different contribution rates for the law enforcement officers or political appointees. So these are for the rates for our regular FERS employees. The minimum retirement age. I'm sure you all heard in passing the MRA. Do you meet the MRA? And that stands for minimum retirement age. In order for your eligibility for retirement requires an age and service requirement. So here's just a chart that will let you know what your minimum retirement age eligibility is based on the year you were born. So I'm not going to read through that chart, but if you can just take a look and see what your minimum retirement age for retirement is. So here are the eligibility requirements for retirement. One type of retirement is an immediate retirement, which means that upon separation, you are immediately going to receive a retirement annuity. The eligibility requirement for that is your MRA, your minimum retirement age, with at least 30 years of service, age 60 with at least 20 years of service, and age 62 with at least 5 years of service. So you can retire with an immediate annuity and no reduction, meaning you're not penalized in your annuity if you meet these eligibility requirements. Sorry. Then we have an immediate retirement, which means upon separation, you will retire and immediately receive an annuity with a reduction. So prior to, if you met the MRA with 30 years, age 60 with 20, or age 62 with 5, you can immediately retire, receive an annuity, and you're not penalized. You can also receive a reduced annuity with an immediate retirement if you meet the minimum requirement age with at least 10 years of federal service through 29 years. Again, you can receive an immediate annuity with a reduction if you meet the minimum retirement age with at least 10 years of service through 29 years of service. Your benefit is reduced 5/12% for each full month under the age of 60 if you have at least 20 years of service at the time of separation. If you have less than 20 years of federal service at the time of separation, your reduction is 5/12% for each full month until the age of 62. So again, you can retire with the reduction, receive an immediate annuity if you meet the minimum retirement age with 10 to 29 years of service. It's reduced each year until you reach age 60 if you separate with 20 years of service, or age 62 if you separate with less than 20 years of service. Disability retirement. Employees are able to retire under a disability retirement if they have at least 18 months of federal service. There is no age requirement. One of the main requirements with disability retirement is that you cannot be able or unable to perform your normal job duties, and the agency is unable to accommodate you within the agency another job at the same pay, grade, and rate. The disability retirement has to be approved by the Office of Personnel Management. So though you may feel that you're unable to perform your duties, your supervisor has confirmed that, you went through OEOCR, reasonable accommodations have confirmed that they're unable to place you, that does not entitle you to receiving a disability retirement. You still have to go through the approval process through the Office of Personnel Management to have that retirement approved. Under the disability retirement, your annuity is calculated differently than the normal computation for a FERS retirement. So just to go a little bit into that, with a disability retirement, instead of you getting paid 1% of your average high 3 salary times your years, under disability you're getting 60% of your average high 3 salary times your years of service for your first year in disability retirement. Your second year is reduced to 40% of your average high 3 salary times the number of years of service at the time of separation. That 40% calculation will remain until you reach age 62, and then the normal 1% or 1.1% will apply. Deferred retirement. I get a lot of questions. What's the difference between deferred and postponed retirement? Under the deferred retirement, you are deferring your annuity until the age of 62, meaning you will not collect your annuity until you reach the age of 62. You have at least 5 years of creditable service. You had not received a refund of your retirement contributions for your years of service, and you are not eligible to re-enroll in FEGLI or FEHB. So typically a person that worked for the federal government that does not meet the minimum age requirement, does not meet the eligibility to retire, but separate, they would typically defer their retirement until the age of 62. Under a postponed retirement, you meet the eligibility for retirement as far as the age with at least 10 years or more of service. However, under postponed, you are saying you want to postpone your retirement until a later date. It has to be before the age of 62, but you avoid the penalty. So if you retired on the immediate annuity with the MRA plus 10, your annuity is penalized 5% a year until the age of 60 or 62, depending on your years of service. Under the postponed retirement, if you meet the MRA plus 10, you're postponing your annuity until a later date, so you separate from the agency with at least 10 years of federal service and meeting the MRA retirement eligibility. You postpone to a later date, but at that time that you collect your annuity, you're not penalized. You don't receive the reduction. Also, an advantage to the postponed retirement is if you were enrolled in your FEHB and your FEGLI for the 5 years immediately preceding that separation, you are able to re-enroll at the time of beginning your postponed annuity. Okay? So again, for deferred, you don't meet the minimum requirement age and you don't have the years. You defer your retirement to 62. With postponed, you meet the eligibility for the minimum retirement age with at least 10 years. You avoid a reduction, and you're able to re-enroll in FEHB and FEGLI if you met the 5-year continuous enrollment eligibility requirement. Creditable service. Not all of your federal service is creditable under your retirement. So some forms of creditable service will, of course, be your full-time service. All part-time service is creditable. Any part-time service prior to April 7th, 86, you receive full-time credit for eligibility. So no matter if you worked 6 months out of the year, you received a full year of service, and you receive that service in your annuity calculation. Any part-time service after 86, you receive full-time credit for eligibility, which in terms of years of service, but your annuity calculation is prorated by the salary received. Civil service and civil service offset service is creditable or potentially creditable if there was no refund in your retirement. Leave without pay. Any leave without pay within the calendar year up to 6 months is creditable. So if you had leave without pay that exceeded the 6 months, that exceeding period is not creditable towards your retirement. That's within 1 calendar year. Intermittent service, which is service that you might have performed during a term period or a temp employment, that is considered creditable. Workers' compensation, if you're out on workers' compensation, all of that time is creditable until the time, of course, you return to work or separate. Breaks of service. Any breaks of service less than 3 days is creditable towards your retirement. Military service, potentially creditable if a deposit is paid, and we'll get into how a deposit is paid for military. Non-deduction or non-career appointments. And again, this would typically be appointments that were term or temporary in which you were not a career employee and not contributing to the retirement system during that service period. If you had service prior to January 1st of '89 and a deposit was paid for that service, it is creditable towards your retirement annuity and your eligibility. Refunded service, again, if you had a break in service and you received a refund of your retirement contributions, that service period is not creditable unless you paid a redeposit. Military service. Any service performed prior to January 1st, '57 is automatically creditable and no deposit is required. So any military service performed prior to January 1st, '57 is automatically creditable to your retirement and no deposit is required. Service performed after '57 requires a deposit for your eligibility as well as for your annuity calculation. The deposit is 3% of your basic earnings in service, in addition to the market interest rate. For 2016, the rate is 2%. So again, for the military deposit, your deposit is 3% of your basic pay, your basic earnings in the military, plus the 2% market interest rate for 2016. The military deposit must be paid prior to your retirement in order for it to be creditable. So if you would like your military service to count towards your eligibility in years, as well as in your annuity calculation, the military deposit must be paid in full prior to your retirement. If you are a current employee receiving military retired pay, you can receive it through your retirement. At the time of retirement, you must waive your military retired pay in order for your military service to be creditable towards your eligibility and your annuity calculation. So again, if you are receiving military retired pay, you can continue to receive that pay while being employed, but at the time of retirement, you must waive it if you want that service time to be creditable towards your eligibility and your annuity calculation. Non-deduction service or non-career appointments. And again, these are the appointments in which you did not pay into the retirement system and you were paying into Social Security only or FICA. For service performed prior to January 1st, '89, a deposit is required in order for that time to be creditable for eligibility and annuity calculation. Any service, non-deducted service after '89 receives no credit. Any service after '89 does not allow you to make a deposit. Okay. The deposit for the non-deduction service is 1.3% of your earnings during that service, plus the market interest rate. And again, for 2016, that is 2%. A lot of employees do not know that they have non-deduction service until they meet with a benefits and retirement specialist. So I would encourage you all that if you started, not even a certain year, just if you review your electronic official personnel folder and look at your SF50s, your personnel actions, back to when you started your career with the federal government, check and see if you have any FICA service. On your SF50, you will see in one of the blocks it will either say FERS or civil service offset. If you were not covered under a retirement system, it would say FICA only. So I encourage you all to check your personnel records, see if you were covered under FICA only. If you were, this applies to you. That means that appointment, you were not paying into this retirement system, you were paying Social Security only. And at that time, potentially is not creditable towards your retirement. So again, if that service applies to you and you want that time to be creditable towards your years of service, as well as included in your annuity calculation, a deposit is required. And again, that deposit is 1.3% of your earnings during that service period, plus the 2% interest rate for 2016. Please note that interest will accrue on your deposit period until it's paid in full. So if you have deposit period that you intend on paying prior to retirement, but you're kind of putting it off, just know that balance is going to accrue each year until that deposit is paid in full. Redeposits. And the redeposits refer to service in which you received a refund of your retirement contributions. This would only happen if you had federal service and then you resigned and at that time took a refund of your retirement contributions. Any refunded service is not creditable. Any refunded service is not creditable unless you make a redeposit. If a redeposit is made, that service time is included for your eligibility in years, as well as in your annuity calculation. And again, if it's not paid, it does not count for your annuity calculation. The redeposit amount is the amount that you withdrew plus the variable interest rate for the year. So again, the interest rate for 2016 is 2%. But that interest accrues from the time that you withdrew that money through the current date in which you pay that deposit in full. So like the deposits, the redeposits, the interest rate continues to accrue until it's paid in full. Sick leave. As of 2014, any FERS retirees that retire with a sick leave balance, all of the sick leave is creditable towards their retirement eligibility. For civil service employees that transferred into FERS, the lesser of the sick leave balance is used. So for instance, if you were a civil service employee and at the time you transferred to FERS, you had a sick leave balance of, let's say, 500 hours. Then at the time of retirement, you're now under FERS, you have a sick leave balance of 900 hours. Only 500 hours will be used in your retirement eligibility. So it's the lesser of your sick leave balance from when you were civil service to the time you retire as a FERS employee. You can hold questions to the end, please. So again, if you are a transferee into FERS, you were covered previously under civil service, the lesser of the sick leave balance from a civil service employee to your FERS at retirement is used in your computation for retirement eligibility and annuity. And then this is the 2087 chart. I don't know if you all can see it well, but this is the chart used in determining how many years, months, days will give you of your sick leave balance will be creditable to your retirement. So for instance, if you have 6 hours of sick leave, that gives you 1 day of service credit. So using the sick leave chart is based off of a 6-hour day instead of our typical 8-hour day. If you can see on here, 12 hours of sick leave gives you 2 days. And then the rest is in the chart. But the sick leave chart, 6 hours is used for determining 1 day of service credit instead of our typical 8 hours. So calculating your creditable service. In this example, I have a FERS employee that has FERS service, military service, as well as unused sick leave that will be creditable towards their retirement. So their FERS service is 31 years, 4 months, 3 days. This employee had 6 years, 4 months, and 6 days of military service in which they paid a deposit. They also had 3 months and 17 days of unused sick leave at the time of retirement. Their total service is 37 years, 11 months, and 26 days. However, when calculating your retirement annuity, only years and months are creditable, not days. So as you see, the 26 days that were left over is crossed out. That 26 days is not used in the retirement annuity calculation. So oftentimes I get employees that are calculating their sick leave and they're trying to make their sick leave be a full month. But I have to tell you, you have to first apply the sick leave to your service credit. Once you get the total service, the leftover days is not creditable. So in this example, the sick leave alone gave this employee 3 months and 17 days. That 17 days is still being used in the calculation. Is once all of the service is applied, 26 days is now not creditable. So again, you have to add the sick leave to your years of service in order to determine how much sick leave or how many days will not be used in your annuity calculation. High 3 average salary. So now we get into how do we calculate the retirement annuity? What will my annuity be? The high 3 average salary is the average of your highest 3 years of consecutive pay. It does not include bonuses, overtime, awards, military pay. However, it does include your night differential pay and environmental differential pay for wage employees. And it also includes locality. I have some employees that think the average salary only includes your base pay. It's your total of your base pay plus the locality. So here, in calculating the average high 3 salary, I have an employee that will be retiring effective September 30th, 2016. Their highest 3 years of salary was held in their last 3 years of employment. We do have some employees where they might have taken a demotion or their salary might have been reduced, and their highest 3 years of salary held were maybe 5 years prior to retirement or 10 years. That will be used in the retirement annuity calculation. But generally, for most employees, their highest 3 years of salary are held in their last 3 years of service. So for this employee, they're retiring again on October 1st, 16. We take the 3 years back to October 1st of 13. So October 13 through January 14, their basic pay, including locality, was $112,774. However, the pay earned during those months was $31,639. They had a pay rate change on January 12th of 14. For the whole year, their base pay was $113,904. However, the pay earned was $113,588. That's because they were short a couple days. And then, including, they had a pay rate January 11th of 15, January 10th of 16, and then a last pay rate just a couple months before their retirement, July 10th of 16. The average high 3 salary is calculated by the pay earned within those last 3 years. So you would add up the pay earned, which is in the last column, which gives you $345,263, divided by 3, because you're taking the average of the 3 years. $115,088 gives you your average high 3 salary. So in this example, computing this employee's retirement annuity will be based off of $115,088. That's considered their average high 3 salary. So with the annuity computation, once you have determined the average high 3 salary, it's pretty simple in calculating how much your annuity would be. If you are under the age of 62, your annuity computation is 1% times your high 3 average salary times your years of service at retirement. So in this example I give you, the average high 3 salary for this employee is $97,468. They had 38 years of service, 0 months. You're going to take 1% times the $97,468 times 38, because they had 38 years. Their basic annual annuity is $37,038. That's their annual annuity. To get the monthly annuity, you'll just divide $37,038 by 12 to get their monthly annuity. Again, this is just the FERS basic benefit. If you retire at the age of 62 with at least 20 or more years of service, your annuity computation is multiplied by 1.1% instead of the 1%. So again, if you retire at the age of 62 or older with at least 20 years of service, your computation is as follows: 1.1% times your average high 3 salary times your years and months. So in this example, this employee's average high 3 salary is $63,456. They had 32 years and 9 months of service. So their annuity computation is 1.1% times $63,456 times 32.75. The 0.75 is the proration for the 9 months of service. Their annual annuity is $22,860. If you want to get the monthly benefit, you would just divide that by 12. In this example, their monthly annuity is $1,905. The FERS annuity supplement. I get a lot of questions about the FERS annuity supplement. Who's eligible? How am I going to get it? Will it reduce my Social Security? How much will it be? Well, the FERS annuity supplement is a benefit provided by the Office of Personnel Management, not Social Security. Okay, so the Office of Personnel Management provides this benefit to all FERS retirees. It substitutes your Social Security until the age of 62. So they try to bridge the gap between your retirement and 62 when you would be eligible to collect your Social Security. The FERS annuity supplement, again, is an estimate of the Social Security earned during your FERS service. It is only available to retirees that meet the eligibility requirements of MRA with 30 years or age 60 with 20 years of service. If you retire with an immediate annuity with MRA in less than 30 years, you are not eligible for a FERS annuity supplement. If you also retire at the age of 62, you are not eligible for a FERS annuity supplement. So again, you are only eligible if you retire with your minimum retirement age with at least 30 years of service or age 60 with at least 20 years of service. Those employees that retire on a disability, deferred retirement, and again, an MRA with less than 30 years are not eligible for a FERS annuity supplement. The FERS annuity supplement does not reduce your Social Security benefit. I get a lot of questions about that. The FERS annuity supplement does not reduce your Social Security benefit. It also will continue until you reach the age of 62, whether or not you apply for Social Security benefits at that time or not. So if you are age 60 and you have at least 30 years of service at the time of retirement, you will receive your FERS basic benefit in addition to the FERS annuity supplement. At the age of 62, your FERS annuity supplement will automatically stop whether you apply for Social Security benefits or not. The formula for the FERS annuity supplement is your estimated Social Security benefit at the age of 62 multiplied by the years of service at the time of retirement divided by 40. Again, it's your estimated Social Security benefit at the age of 62. So if you have your Social Security statement, you can see on your Social Security statement, they list what your benefit amount will be at the age of 62, and then again at your full retirement age, whether it may be 66 or 67, then again at the age of 70. If you take your estimate at the age of 62, you'll multiply that by the years of federal service under FERS divided by 40. So in this example, this employee's Social Security benefit at the age of 62 is estimated to be $1,200 a month. And they retired with at least 30 years of service, Their supplement is $1,200 times 30 for the 30 years of service divided by 40. So their FERS annuity supplement is $900 a month. They will get this benefit in addition to their FERS basic benefit. Again, the FERS annuity supplement will continue until the age of 62, whether or not the employee applies for Social Security at that time or not. The survivor benefit. The survivor benefit is a benefit that you as a retiree can offer to your spouse or a close family member at the time of your passing in retirement. For a spouse, the eligibility requirement is that you must be married for at least 9 months. The survivor benefit is payable to your spouse until death or unless your spouse remarries before the age of 55. If you are a retiree and you are not married at the time of retirement, and in retirement you marry someone, you can elect the survivor benefit within 2 years of your post-retirement marriage. FERS employees are allowed 3 options for the survivor benefit. One is to waive the benefit. It's not mandatory. You do not have to provide it for your spouse. However, your spouse has to consent to that. You can provide the maximum benefit. The maximum benefit is 50% of your basic annuity with a reduction of 10%. And then you can also provide a partial benefit, which is 25% of your annuity with a 5% reduction. So I'm going to go over the maximum annuity provided. Again, if you want to provide the maximum survivor benefit for your spouse at the time of retirement, you are providing 50% of your basic annuity, but your retirement annuity is reduced 10%. Your spouse does not receive the survivor benefit until you pass away. So I get a lot of employees that say, does my spouse receive the benefit while I'm receiving my annuity? And the answer is no. The survivor benefit is only provided upon your passing in retirement. In this example, the employee's basic annual annuity is $28,900. Because they are providing the max benefit for their spouse, their annuity is reduced 10%. So that is a reduction in their annuity that they're receiving for their FERS. Their new basic annuity is now $26,010. Providing the max benefit is 50%. So upon their passing and retirement, their spouse will receive 50% of the $26,010, which is $14,450. So again, in this example, the surviving spouse will receive $14,450 if their spouse, the retiree, passed away. Please note, if you are carrying your FEHB in retirement for the family, a survivor annuity must be payable to your spouse if you want them to continue that enrollment upon your passing. So again, if you are carrying FEHB for your family, a survivor annuity must be payable to your spouse, whether maximum or partial, if you want your spouse to continue that enrollment upon your passing in retirement. So for the partial survivor annuity, again, that's 25% of your basic annual pay. However, it reduces your annuity by 5%. So in this example, again, the employee's basic annual annuity is $28,900. It's being reduced by 5% because they're providing a partial annuity to their surviving spouse. Their new basic annuity is $27,455. Because they're providing a partial annuity, their spouse is receiving 25% of that benefit, which is $7,225 for the year. And again, if you are receiving or carrying FEHB for your spouse and you want them to continue that enrollment, if you pass away in retirement, you must provide a survivor annuity. As I stated, you do have the option to waive the survivor annuity if you want to avoid that reduction. I have some employees that say, well, I'm carrying FEGLI or I have other life insurance. My spouse can use that to survive off of, or my spouse is not covered under my FEHB, or if they are, they have the opportunity to enroll in a health insurance plan through their company. You can indeed waive the survivor benefit. However, at the time of retirement, your spouse must sign and notarize a consent to you waiving the survivor benefit, and that is included with your retirement application. So I have some employees that say, I'm not married. However, how can I provide a survivor benefit to my domestic partner? Well, that's an insurable interest. You can provide a survivor benefit to a person on the day of your retirement that is closer to you than a first cousin. And this is the example OPM has on their, the definition OPM has on their website. A person that is closer to you than a first cousin, other than your children, including, again, a fiance or common law spouse, domestic partner, you can provide a survivor annuity too. The reductions for this person is different than what I described prior. The maximum and partial is for a spouse only. For a person of insurable interest, the reduction is different. That's determined by your age and your age between you as well as your person of insurable interest. So there's actually a chart. So if this applies to you, I would speak with your servicing benefit specialist and see what that reduction would be for the person of insurable interest. For a shared survivor annuity, this is typically for a retiree that has a court order to provide a survivor annuity to a former spouse, as well as they want to provide a survivor annuity to the current spouse. The reduction for the former spouse may be at the maximum, which is the 50%, or less, whatever is determined by the divorce decree. If you are a federal retiree that is providing a survivor annuity for a former spouse and a current spouse, the reduction for your current spouse would apply to the chart for an insurable interest. The former spouse takes precedence. So the court order must be met first. If you are providing an annuity for a current spouse, the chart for the insurable interest will then apply, not the formula that I went over with the 50% and 25%. So going on to benefits and retirement. I'm sure most of you have heard in order to carry your FEHB into retirement, you have to be enrolled for at least 5 years immediately preceding your retirement. You can be enrolled under your own plan or under your spouse's plan, that is an FEHB plan. In order to be eligible, again, you must retire on an immediate annuity, meaning you are not retiring on a deferred annuity. You must be enrolled for the 5 years immediately preceding your retirement, or since your first opportunity to enroll. So I get a lot of employees says, what does that mean? Well, if you started your service with the federal government, let's say, I'm going to just throw this number at age 57, and you, that was their first opportunity to enroll in FEHB. However, you retired in 4 years, including your military service. Well, as long as you were enrolled for your full service period under FERS immediately before your retirement, you are eligible to continue it. So again, if you started late in your career, late in age, and you had 4 years of federal service and was enrolled in FEHB for the 4 years, but your military service gave you the eligibility to retire sooner, you can carry FEHB into retirement because you were enrolled for the entire service period since your first opportunity to enroll, which is upon your appointment to the federal government. Those military retirees or their spouses that were covered under TRICARE and then later enrolled in FEHB, as long as you were enrolled in FEHB prior to your retirement and you were covered under TRICARE prior to that enrollment, you can continue that into retirement. Again, if you are currently covered under TRICARE and you're going to retire, let's say next year, you enroll in the FEHB for open season, you can carry FEHB into retirement because you were covered under TRICARE for the period and you enrolled in FEHB immediately prior to your retirement. FEGLI, same rules apply. As long as you were enrolled in FEGLI for the 5 years immediately preceding your retirement, you can carry FEGLI into retirement. You cannot convert it over to an individual policy. So in your retirement application, there is a conversion form. You have the opportunity to continue FEGLI into retirement or not carry FEGLI into retirement and convert your FEGLI premiums that you've paid into an individual policy. You can only carry FEGLI if you do not convert into an individual policy. Employees that retire and are enrolled in option B or C may carry the lowest number of multiples elected within the last 5 years. So with the Fagley open season that we just had, if you are planning on retiring next year, and you had basic option B 1 multiple, and during this open season last month, you increased option B to 5 multiples, you can only carry into retirement basic option B 1 multiple. It's the lowest number of multiples that you carried within the previous 5 years of retirement. So I know some employees thought that if they increased it during the open season and they're going to retire next year or the year after, they get to carry that multiple, and that's no. It's the lowest number of multiples that you held within the last 5 years immediately preceding your retirement that you can carry into retirement. So with Fagley, there are options for reducing your coverage. The basic option, there are 3 options: 75% reduction, 50% reduction, or no reduction. If you choose the no reduction, of course, your basic amount is not being reduced. However, your premium is reduced starting the first full month after your 65th birthday. So again, basic with no reduction. That means you want to keep the full amount of your basic. Your premiums start to reduce the first full month after you turn age 65. So that's a benefit, a good benefit. With the 50% reduction, that means you are only carrying 50% of your basic amount. Starting at age 65, your basic will reduce 1% each month over a period of 50 months until it reaches 50% of its value. And at that same time, your premium will also reduce the first full month after your 65th birthday. So again, if you're doing the 50% reduction, 2 things happen at the age of 65. 1, your basic amount will start to reduce 1% each month until it reaches 50% of its value, as well as your premium will reduce that first full month after your 65th birthday. For the 75% reduction, you are reducing your benefit to 1/4 of its value. 2 things happen at age 65. Your basic amount will reduce 2% each month over a period of 50 months until it reaches 1/4 of its value, and then your premiums will cease. So with the 75% reduction, of course, you're again electing to reduce your basic amount down to 25% of its value, but at the age of 65, you are no longer paying a premium for that basic insurance. With option A, if you are carrying option A into retirement, you have no choice in the reduction. Your option A will automatically reduce 2% each month starting at the age of 65 until it gets down to $2,500. So option A, it will automatically reduce 2% each month until it reaches $2,500. And then at age 65, you no longer pay a premium for that as well. So it's going to reduce automatically whether you would like for it to or not. However, you're no longer paying a premium for it once it starts reduction. With options B and option C, you do not have the option to reduce 75% or 50% reduction. You can only do a no reduction, which means you want to keep the full value, or you can choose a full reduction, which means you want to reduce the amount down to 0. With a no reduction, of course, your benefit amount will remain the same. So whatever your coverage is for option B and option C will remain. However, instead of your premiums reducing, they're going to increase in 5-year age brackets. If you choose a full reduction at age 65, 2 things happens. Your benefit amount will start to reduce 2% each month until it reaches down to 0. and then your premium will also cease. Okay, so for the full reduction, you keep the full benefit amount until age 65. At age 65, it will reduce 2% each month until it gets to 0, as well as at age 65, you no longer pay a premium for those options. And that, again, that's for only options B and C. For FEDVIP, the Employees Dental and Vision Program, there is no 5-year requirement. So if you were only enrolled in FEDVIP for 2 years prior to retirement, you can continue your FEDVIP into retirement. There is no 5-year requirement. Under FEDVIP, you pay post-tax premiums. Okay, so they're not pre-tax, they're post-tax. In order to continue your dental and vision enrollment, you must contact benefits immediately at the retirement. What it is when you retire, benefits is going to count on your premiums to still come to them. OPM will not send your dental or vision premiums to benefits. So I encourage employees a month before retirement, maybe 3 months, contact benefits, let them know when you will be retiring, and arrange for them to either bill you to your home address or to have the premiums debited from a checking account of your choice so that enrollment continues. If benefits does not receive any notification from you as the retiree that you are retiring and they do not receive premiums, they will disenroll you. And you will not be able to re-enroll until open season. I'm sorry. So flexible spending account and long-term care. If you are enrolled in a flexible spending account, you are not able to keep that account in retirement. It's not available to retirees. Any allotments into your flexible spending account will stop as of your last day of separation. If you have incurred any expenses, eligible expenses for your FSA, it must have occurred before your separation in order for you to be reimbursed. So you have to be very wise in how much money you elect to go into your flexible spending account within that last year of retirement, because as of your separation date, you will no longer have access to that money. You will lose it unless you incur eligible expenses prior to your separation date. For long-term care, you can continue that benefit into retirement. There is no requirement as far as years of enrollment. If you want to continue that enrollment, you must contact long-term care partners because OPM will not send your premiums to LTC. So like your dental and vision, you must contact benefits. You must also contact LTC in order to continue your enrollment in the long-term care program. And again, they can bill you to your home address, or you can arrange to have those premiums deducted from a checking account. On your retirement application that you complete, there is a field that asks you if you are enrolled in FEDVIP or in LTC. If you check off yes, there's also a reminder beside that question that lets you know, contact benefits immediately or contact LTC immediately to continue that enrollment. Retirement date. We get a lot of questions of when's the best date to retire. I know OPM and I think FedGov sends out newsletters monthly or so regarding the best time of the year to retire, the best day to retire. In a nutshell, the best day of the month for a FERS employee to retire is the very last day of the month. It does not matter what month of the year you retire, it's the last day of any given month is the best day for a FERS employee to retire. I say the best day because if you retire on the last day of the month, you immediately go into pay status the next day for retirement. If you choose to retire any other day of the month, because you have that flexibility, if you want to retire October the 14th, that's fine. However, you will not go into pay status until November the 1st. For FERS retirees, your pay status starts the 1st of the month. So that's why the best day is the last day of the month, because there is no break in which you would be paid for your retirement. We get questions, when do I receive my pay? So if you retire and you have annual leave on the books, you will be paid out lump sum for all annual leave and credit hours on the books. Typically, it's included in your last paycheck from the agency. However, you can receive it from 1 to 2 pay periods after. So please be mindful of that. Typically, it will be included in your last paycheck. However, you may receive it from 1 to 2 pay periods after. The annual leave lump sum and credit hour payment is generally taxed at about 28%. Okay? So your annual lump sum payment is generally taxed at 28%. That comes from the agency. OPM does not pay out your annual leave lump sum. CMS does. Your annuity. I'm sure you all have heard of the backlog with OPM, and I can say from the retirees that have communicated with me, it is getting better. It is getting better. You will be in an interim status upon your retirement. The interim status meaning you will receive a partial payment of your retirement annuity for at least 3 months into retirement, okay? I'm sorry, for at least 6 months into retirement. Your interim payment will start about 9 to 12 weeks after retirement. So I have in here 3 months. So let's say you retire November the 1st. Expect your first retirement annuity, which will be your interim payment, in about 9 to 12 weeks, okay? So you'll have your last paycheck from the agency, your annual lump sum payment that you may get 1 to 2 pay periods after, but your first retirement annuity will not be received till about 9 to 12 weeks after retirement. That partial payment is about 60 to 80% of your benefit. So you don't receive your full benefit right away. It's about 60 to 80% of your full benefit. I have people that say, well, why, if we're receiving it 3 months later, why aren't we getting the full benefit? OPM services the entire federal government. So I can't even imagine how many cases they have. But they want to provide you with some type of income while they are processing your retirement as well as everyone else's. So that's why you're receiving a partial benefit until they're able to adjudicate and complete your retirement to give you your full benefit. Expect your full benefit in about 6 months. Like I said, I've had some retirees call me. They received their full benefit in 4 months. Some received it in 3. Those are the real lucky ones. And then we have some that hadn't received it in 6 months. I had one retiree didn't receive it in 9. So just be mindful. It all depends on the processing time for OPM. But estimated about 6 months before you would receive your full annuity. Once you receive your full annuity, OPM will retro back to your retirement date the payments that you did not receive. So for instance, if your interim payment is about 60% of your retirement annuity, you're not receiving 40% of it. Once OPM finalizes your retirement, they will retro you that 40% that you did not receive over the last 3 or 4 months. So you'll get that. Out of that first annuity will also come your FEHB premiums and your FEGLI premiums only. So if you are carrying FEHB and FEGLI into retirement, OPM will then collect those premiums once they finalize your full retirement. Again, if you're enrolled in FEDVIP or LTC, you'll be paying those premiums separately to benefits and LTC partners. Okay, so we come to the end of the presentation. Who do I contact to discuss more? If I have further questions regarding my retirement, if I need to make a deposit or a redeposit for my military service or my FICA service, if I just want to know my numbers, who do I contact? You'll contact the Division of Pay and Benefits. There are 4 of us, benefits and retirement specialists in the division. Stephanie Gates-Edwards, Teresa Rudisil, Linda Jackson, and myself, Andrea Curtis. We each service certain components within CMS. So as you see in the chart, the components that we service are listed under our names. In addition to these components, I also service all SES members. So if you are an SES employee and you would like some retirement counseling or retirement numbers, you would reach out to myself no matter what component you work in. And then now we're going to open the floor to any questions. So if anyone here in the auditorium have any questions, if you could please walk up to the center aisle at the mic. The floor is open, and then I'll take a couple questions in the auditorium, and then we will open up the lines on the phone.
I have a question regarding sick leave.
Yes.
If you're a CSRS transferee to FERS, you said you used a lesser amount of the sick leave at the time, whether you were CRS or when you transferred to FERS at the end.
That's correct.
What document shows how much I had when I transferred under CSRS? Because I cannot get that document.
Okay, so it'd be best to reach out to our payroll specialists, Juanita Morton and Nellie Younger. They can check DFAS to see what your sick leave balance was at the time of your transfer.
Juanita Morgan and...
Juanita Morton and Nellie Younger are our 2 payroll specialists.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, a quick question on survivor benefits. Minor children considered insurable interest?
I'm sorry?
Minor children?
Correct, yes. What are you asking about?
Do they fall under the category of insurable interest?
No.
So how, are they not covered at all?
No. So minor children, the question was, can minor children fall under the category of insurable interest to provide a survivor benefit? And the answer is no.
Okay, so there's no program for them?
No.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question on the federal employee health benefit.
Yes.
When you currently work, the government's paying the majority of the premium. When you
Yes.
go into retirement, does that continue?
Yes, it does. The question was, as an employee, the government subsidizes about 75% of your FEHB premium, and we employees pay about 25%. It will remain the same in retirement. So you still pay the same premium as you did when you were an employee. Of course, if during open season the carriers increase their premium, you'll pay, yes, but it's still the same, yes.
Does
Yes.
that also apply to the vision plan as well?
You said vision? So
Vision, dental.
currently employees pay 100% of the dental and vision. So there is no government contribution. So whatever you're paying as an employee will remain the same as a retiree with your dental and vision, because there is no government contribution now. Yes.
On the high 3 average salary calculation, what is the difference when you look at that last column and it's pay earned? What does that mean as opposed to like your salary?
It's the pay earned within that time frame.
So do holidays count or they're not considered pay earned?
Well, holiday is included because we're paid for holidays. So it's the pay earned within that time. So for instance, if right now your annual salary, I'm just throwing out there, is $75,000, but you worked part of the year, that full 75 is not going to be included. It's going to be prorated for the pay earned within that time.
Okay, so it would be any time off without pay during that period?
Repeat that question.
It would be any pay, or I'm sorry, any period without pay during that period?
Any period without pay within that period?
Yeah, so if it's $75,000 a year and I took a week off without pay, then that would not be included. But otherwise, it would normally
Well,
be.
no, that would be, you took a week, no, that would be included. That would be included, you said the week off, well, yeah, okay, yeah, so if you had a week off without pay, it's not included in the pay earned.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
I think I got that right.
I was just trying to figure out, I mean, if it's your normal salary for that period,
Yeah, for that
then they
period.
should be equal columns, right?
I'm sorry?
Then the amounts would be equal in the payable versus,
Yeah, if you
Okay,
work that
salary.
full year.
gotcha, thank you. And then the other one on the survivor benefits, it does talk about minor children. How about adult children?
No children are eligible to receive a survivor benefit as a retiree, as a
Okay.
deceased retiree.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And then I'll take this last one before opening up the questions on the phone.
Piggybacking on that, so if you have, like, both my husband and I work here, and if we're in a car accident and are killed, and I have two 14-year-olds at home, they don't get any of the survivor benefit?
They don't get a monthly survivor benefit annuity. So they would, if you have them listed as
Beneficiaries?
on your FERS, there's a FERS beneficiary form. That basically is for your lump sum of your retirement
Okay.
contributions.
Okay.
Your children could get that.
Okay.
But the survivor benefit is for a monthly annuity. That's
Okay.
what the survivor benefit that I discussed in here is
Right.
for, a monthly annuity. So if you can only provide a monthly survivor annuity to a spouse or a person of insurable interest if you pass away in retirement.
Right.
If you do not have, let's say you are retired and you do not have a spouse and you passed away, whoever you have listed on your FERS beneficiary form to receive your lump sum of your FERS retirement contributions will receive that lump sum benefit. So that could potentially be children if
Right.
you have listed, but they would not be eligible for survivor benefit.
Okay.
Now, there's difference between a survivor benefit as an employee. If you are an employee and you have minor children, children under the age of 18 or under the age of 22, if they're enrolled in higher education, they will be eligible for a monthly survivor annuity. But that's as an employee, not
Right.
as a
In
retiree.
retirement, okay. And one other question was the Figley, when does that 5 years start? This past October or September or
It's
next
the
year?
5 years immediate. It's the 5 years immediately preceding your retirement. Are you talking about for the eligibility?
Yeah, like I just changed my eligibility, my retirement, what is it, life insurance.
Okay, so you just enrolled during open season?
I changed it
Okay,
to
so
include
you,
my kids.
okay, so you opted option C, is that what you're saying?
Right.
Okay, yeah, so the eligibility to carry FEGLI in retirement is that you just have to be enrolled in a FEGLI period for the 5 years immediately preceding your retirement.
Right,
Now,
but when does that year start? Does that start in 2016 or 2017?
well, for you, you were already enrolled in FEGLI, correct? You just
Yeah.
added option C.
Yes,
So if you were already enrolled,
it
it's,
doesn't matter.
yeah, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Now, there's a difference between what, as I stated, your options. If you have option B and C, you can only carry the lowest multiples held within the last 5 years.
Okay,
The lowest number of multiples held within the last 5 years. So I'm just going to give an example. If you are enrolled in option C, and prior to open season last month, you had 2 multiples, and then last month, you elected 5 multiples for option C and decide to retire in 2018, well, you can only carry 2 multiples or less, because that's the lowest number of multiples within the last 5 years immediately preceding your retirement.
yeah, but what I'm asking though is, Okay, I changed my enrollment in September of 2016.
Mm-hmm.
We don't start getting that benefit until September
October
17.
1st of 2017.
Right, so
Yeah.
where does that 5-year period start? October 17 or October 16?
You were already enrolled. You were
But
already enrolled.
I added more to it.
That's fine. That's fine. Because you were already enrolled in the program, whether you added an option or took away an
I'll get
option,
it.
you were already automatically enrolled. So it starts 5 years immediately prior to your retirement. So you're fine. If you were enrolled in Fagley for the last 10 years and all you did during open season was add option C, you're fine.
Okay,
You're fine.
okay. Thank you.
We want to open up the floor. I'm sorry, open up the lines to any
This
questions.
is the moderator. I'll unmute all the phone lines. Thank you. The phone
Yes,
lines
I had
are
a question.
unmuted. Do you guys have any questions?
Yes, I had a question. I'm a CSRS to FERS transferee, and on the FERS annuity calculation that you discussed, you said the 1.1% factor, you have to be age 62 plus 20 years of service? And
Yes.
I'm wondering, what do you mean by 20 years of service? Is that FERS service or CSRS and FERS service?
All service.
All service.
That's correct.
Okay. Thanks very much.
You're welcome. And for you that you said, okay, you're a transferee, so you do not have a civil service component, correct?
No, I do have a civil service component.
Okay, so the calculation is a little bit different for those that are retiring with a civil service component. Your average high 3 salary is 1.5% for the first 5 years in civil service. Then it's 1.75% for your 6 through 10 years of civil service, and then it's 2% for any civil service time over 10 years. And then your FERS covered years will then be either the 1% or the 1.1%. So it's a little difficult, not difficult, but there's additional calculations if you are a FERS retiree retiring with a civil service component.
Yes, I understand there's a
Oh.
civil service component,
Okay.
and you just covered that. But the FERS component is 20 years, which includes both your CSRS and FERS years?
Yeah, so that 20 years is all
Okay.
their total service.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Anyone else on the line?
Yes, I have a question. I was wondering how will we be able to get the slides that were presented today?
If you would like a copy of the PowerPoint, you can email the CMS HR Center Help Desk, and they can send you a copy of the presentation.
Okay, and I have one other question. You mentioned something about on your 50 form about the being FICA only. What if it says FERS and FICA?
So that means you would cover under FERS.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else on the line? Anyone else in the auditorium? Yes.
I just wanted to clarify, if you have kids, adult children between the ages of 22 and 26, and they're on your health insurance, that doesn't change when you retire, does it?
It does not change.
Okay,
Yep.
thanks.
So you can, whether you're an employee or retiree, you can still cover your children up to the age of 26. Yes.
Yeah, I had another question about the sick leave and the CRS versus FERS, because I've been in both. If there's a component under CSRS, does that sick leave get applied to that part of it?
Okay. Repeat that question.
It's just about sick leave. I have some sick leave that was accrued under CSRS. And I understood you separate the two, FERS versus sick leave under FERS versus sick leave under CSRS.
Yes.
Would the sick leave that's been accrued under CSRS be applied to that part of the retirement, CSRS retirement?
So it's whatever the
Calculation.
lesser of balance. So if at the time that you transferred to FERS, you had a 300-hour sick leave balance, and then under FERS, at the time of retirement, you had 900,
Yeah.
only 300 will be creditable towards your retirement.
So the rest of it's just thrown out?
Correct, unless it's used up.
Really? It's just
Yes.
throw it out the door? So
Yep.
I have like 700, just the rest of it's shot? Is that what you're saying?
Unless you use it.
That's crazy. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Any other questions on the line? Any other questions in the auditorium? No? Okay. So again, I thank you all for tuning in to this retirement seminar. And again, if you have any follow-up questions, concerns, please reach out to your benefits specialist. Again, Stephanie Gates Edwards, Teresa Rudisill, Linda Jackson, and myself, Andrea Curtis. Also, I encourage you all, if you are not familiar with EWITS, EWITS, or EBIS, EBIS, they are two retirement tools that are available to employees to either project your own retirement estimate or to request an estimate from the benefit specialist to compute for you. It's never too early to plan for retirement. So it's best, like I said, right now you're taking the first step in listening to the seminar, getting the useful information, and hopefully that will be a benefit to you in planning for your retirement in the future. Thank you. It's concluded. Okay. Yep. I'm gonna have this.